Righty guys, welcome to issue 3 of Mortal Realms. We've got 3 Castigators and a Gryph Hound, and we've got a pot of Retributor Armour base paint. Let's make these up in a minute, but let's have a quick run through the magazine. So in this issue, ready, aim, fire. This issue of Mortal Realms comes with your first shooting unit, Stormcast Eternal Castigators. Shooting is an important part of Warhammer Age of Sigmar, as it allows you to attack enemies that are far away. Once you have read about, built and painted your Castigators, you'll get to try shooting for yourself in this issue's playthrough. Happy hobbying. Okay, we got some more bump to try and get us to subscribe online, which is cool. Right, okay, so we first learn about the Storm Hosts, read about the vast armies in which Sigmar's mighty Stormcast Eternals fight, the Storm Hosts. Then we read about one of the Storm Hosts, which is the Hammers of Sigmar. Then we read about the Castigators, the models from this week's issue. Then we read about Nighthaunt processions. The Nighthaunts drift across the battlefield in ghostly armies known as processions. Learn how these gruesome armies are organised. Then how to build our Castigators, how to paint our Stormcast Eternals with the few paints that we've got. And then we've got playthrough for issue 3, The Fighting Escalates. This playthrough explains how ranged weapons work and introduces the Castigators and Gryph Hound into the game. Okay, right, okay, Storm Hosts. The Stormcast Eternals are organised into fighting forces known as Storm Hosts. These Storm Host armies are so disciplined and well organised that they can take on and defeat enemy forces that greatly outnumber them. Storm Hosts can be found fighting in the name of justice and order across the realms. It's got a little footnote here. The Hammers of Sigmar were the first Storm Hosts to be cast down from the heavens into the mortal realms. They fought many battles against the forces of chaos. Okay, then it's got a few different paint guides that we can use. So we've got the Hammers of Sigmar, the Stormblood Guard, the Sons of Malice, the Sons of Gladius, and the Maelstrom of Light. Okay, now we move on to the Hammers of Sigmar. The Hammers of Sigmar were the first of the Storm Hosts to be hurled into the mortal realms. The Hammers of Sigmar bleed and die every day in the name of Sigmar. Okay, so their I suppose motto is first to be forged, never to fail. So Chambers of Renown, the Hammerhands, the Ingloriums, and the Heavenwrought. Specialities are the Extremist Chambers. The great heroes are Neith Blacktalon, Vandus Hammerhand, and Astrea Soulbright. And famed Stormkeeps are the Perspicarium and Fort Ingis. Of all the Storm Hosts, the Hammer of Sigmar have seen the most battles in the name of Sigmar. Time and time again, they have been sent down from the heavens into the front lines of grand war against chaos. Okay, then it goes on to talk about conclaves. Though the war gear wielded by different Stormcast Eternals can vary widely, the battlefield recognition is important, and every warrior takes care to display the Storm Host colours and iconography. The Hammers of Sigmar stick rigidly to these rules, considering them to be Sigmar's will. So we've got a Liberator, which is double hammers. A Liberator Prime, who has got the same weapons, but he's got a lion shoulder pad and he's got a knee pad with lightning on it. And then a Liberator, which is a hammer and a shield. And then it's got the same for the Judicators and the same for the Decimators. Or sorry, yeah, the same for the Judicators. And then it's got 3 here, which is for Decimators, Retributors and Protector. And then it's got 1 here for Prosecutor. Okay, the Castigators. Castigators are powerful ranged troops that support their allies with devastating weapons known as Thunderhead Great Bows. These magical bows fire bolts that can strike even the ghostly warriors of the Nighthaunts, blasting the spirits apart in an explosion of blazing blue light. A single volley of fire from a group of Castigators can banish dozens of murderous spirits in seconds. Very cool. Castigators are a key unit within the ranks of the Sacrosanct Chambers. They can be found in many Stormcast Eternals forces, providing range support to their allies. Okay, little bit of information here about the Star Drakes. So these are these great big, almost dragons that are mounted by a Stormcast. I actually played a game last week. We played a 2v2 player game. So I play Slaves to Darkness, and my friend, he plays Khorne. And then we were up against two of my other friends who were playing a combination of Ogres and Stormcast Eternal. And the backstory behind that was that the Ogres and the Stormcast Eternals were about to fight, and then the forces of Chaos kind of came over the hill and they battled. Now, he had a Star Drake, which he used very, very effectively against my Slaves to Darkness. But they're an amazing model. They're really cool. They really dominate the game space. Really, really interesting. And in the game, we got absolutely punished as well. But enough of that. You don't want to hear about that. Okay, Nighthaunt processions. After the Necroquake, the Nighthaunt attacked the living in a blind rage. Nagash appointed a new commander for his ghostly forces, Lady Olinda, Mortarch of Gryph. Thanks to her great power, Nagash is able to order his ghostly armies wherever they are needed. Okay, so Nagash has several lieutenants known as Mortarchs, each responsible for leading a different portion of the army of the dead. So, ghostly processions. The Nighthaunt are organised by the direct order of Nagash, under the command of Lady Olinda, the Mortarch of Gryph. The Nighthaunt processions have been sent forth to unleash havoc at the head of Nagash's army. So it's got some information about Lady Olinda. She's the leader of the Nighthaunt. As a Mortarch, she is one of Nagash's most valued lieutenants, entrusted to lead the Nighthaunt to battle against his many enemies. Okay, and I'll go through some of the others. So we've got Kurdos of Valentine, the Craven King. He is Lady Olinda's advisor. Then we've got the Shroud Guard, comprised of the leaders of each procession. Usually a Knight of the Shrouds is placed in command of each of these armies. And then it goes through some of the other units you get on the battlefield. We've got Death Riders, the Condemned, the Chain Guard, Execution Hordes, Death Stalkers, and Shrieker Hosts. So we've actually already received some Shrieker Hosts in the Maimorn Banshees. We've got next week the Glaive Wraith Stalkers from the Death Stalkers. From the Chain Guard, we've already received the Chain Rasp Hordes. And the rest, we haven't received anything yet. Oh, sorry, the Condemned also includes the Chain Rasp Hordes as well. Okay, then we've got how to build our Castigators and Gryph Hound. Now, these are all push fit, I believe, this week. Let me have a look. They're all push fit, but I will be gluing a bit anyway. So, let me quickly put these together so you can have a look, see what they look like. So what I normally do is I normally clip out all the pieces required for a single model and I lay them out. So the first one, the Castigator Prime, includes model pieces 1 to 5. So I just clip those out. Now, although these models are all push fit, I still add a little bit of glue just because I don't always trust them not to fall apart. And it's, you know, if they fall apart, it's very easy to put them together again. But I do not want that to happen after I've painted them. Now, something else, I'm actually pretty lazy when it comes to clipping things out. And if you're like me, sometimes you'll notice that when you assemble your models, you'll see gaps appearing on them. And that is simply because you haven't used your mould line remover to get rid of it. So it causes this gap there. So all we need to do, pull that apart, scrape it with your mould line remover. Put it back together. And that, there you go. That's much better. Right, let's carry on. Okay, so let's take a look. So here's our completed Castigator Prime, which is very cool. Here are our two standard Castigators, which I have to say I love these models. I think these are really brilliant. Now, one minor criticism I did read about Mortal Realms when it first came out is that people didn't want, or a lot of people didn't want Stormcast Eternal and the Nighthaunt. So there's our Gryph Hound as well. Standing proud. However, I have to say, I think they are a really good starting point for getting into Age of Sigmar. No extras on the sprue, so that's it. So those are the 4 models. Right, okay. Then we've got the painting guide, which this week consists of just painting them with Retributor armour, with the exception of the Gryph Hound, which is telling us to give 3 coats of Corax White. So that is nice. And then it's telling us to paint our Sequitors from issue 1 with the Retributor armour as well. Okay, that's great. Okay, now we move on to the fighting escalates. Reinforcements. Anastasia, Starstrike and her Sequitors are being swarmed by evil spirits. Thankfully, reinforcements have arrived in the shape of a unit of Castigators, accompanied by a deadly Gryph Hound. These warriors provide covering fire, allowing Starstrike's warriors to fall back and regroup. The Nighthaunt, meanwhile, continue to gather in the darkness, moving in for the kill. Okay, so range support arrives. I won't go through the actual back and forth of the battle this week. If that's something that people are enjoying, then let me know and I might bring it back. But for those first couple of weeks, I just showed that just as a little introduction as to how the battle works. Now, the only thing that would change this is that we are introducing ranged combat. So it's telling us to lay out our Gryph Hound and the Castigators on the mat as it was before. The difference is that the Castigators sit on the furthest battle line and the Gryph Hound right in front of them. And then we lay out our 10 chain rasps. The Castigators get 1 attack each with their Thunderhead Great Bows. So that's 1 dice for each Castigator. They hit on a 3-up. And so on a 3, 4 or 5, it does 1 damage. However, if you roll in a 6 in any of those, it does something different. So it does D3 hits. And what that means is you roll a D6, you divide that number by 2. And whatever that result is, it does that. So if you roll a 5 or 6, you get 3 hits. So if you roll a 1 or 2, you get 1. If you get a 3 or 4, it does 2. So you can see on here, they've rolled 3 dice. The first one was a 1, so that didn't make the 3+, so there's no hit there. The second one was a 3. That does fall into a 3-up, so that makes 1 successful hit. And then they rolled a 6 with their last dice, and then they rolled it again to get their D3 score. That scored a 4, so that's 2d3, so that's 2 hits on there. So that's 2 damage, 3 damage overall. The chain rasps only take 1 damage for each hit, so that's 3 models removed. Now the Castigators cannot pile in, so there's no pile in for those, so they stand as they are. Then the Gryph Hound attacks, that does pile in, so that just carries on with its move. So we played the Castigators first, and then we do the roll for the Gryph Hound. The Gryph Hound gets 2 attacks, and it does 1 damage per hit. And then back to the same as week 1, chain rasp attack again. So anything within 3 inches piles in, and they all attack the Gryph Hound. Okay, so that's cool. And then here it's got the War Scroll. Now, the War Scrolls is a list of abilities and weapons that each player has. This is a very, very stripped down version. It hasn't got all the abilities on there and that kind of thing, but it's got what we need to do the mission today. So, for example, the Castigators have missile weapons, the Thunderhead Great Bow, and that rolls 1 dice. It hits on a 3-up, and it has a secret ability. It has a special ability called Burst of Celestial Energy. For each hit roll of 6, score D3 hits. The Gryph Hound and the Castigators take 2 damage per model. The Gryph Hound is 3 damage per model, and they roll 2 dice hitting on a 3-up. And then the Chain Rasp Horde have 1 damage per model, and they roll the Malignant Weapon, which is 2 dice hitting on a 4-up with 1 damage. The other models are what we've got from issues number 1 and 2, so the Sequitors and the Mymorn Banshees. Okay, then it's just got a little indication of what we've got next. So next week we've got the Glaive Wraith Stalkers, and then we're back into proper business with issue 5, Xandria Azure Bolt, which is an exclusive model just for the Mortal Realms magazine. So I very much look forward to that. Next week, not forgetting, we get a pot of Nylak Oxide paint as well. So all in all, I think this is a really good issue this week. Very, very cool. The Castigators are very nice models, and they're quite handy in the battle. So that's very good. So if you do want me to, in the future, lay out the map to do the brief battle and that kind of thing, let me know. If enough of you ask for it, I definitely will do that. But thanks very much, guys. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I will catch you later.